Let's say you're waiting on a routine expense approval, and it takes 3 weeks to clear. Again, everyone in the office just shrugs. It has become a tedious, accepted part of the daily routine. The thing is, no one is actually in the dark about these inefficiencies. The staff can tell you exactly which spreadsheets are entirely redundant, and precisely where the approval chain breaks down every single month. The leadership team knows it too. They can easily point out half a dozen structural processes that desperately need attention. So if everyone from the ground floor to the executive suite sees the exact same friction, the executive reflex is to bundle all of them into one sweeping organizational overhaul. But an initiative of that size requires intense, exhausting preparation. Teams convince themselves they need to schedule one more alignment meeting, map out one more workflow, or buy one more software tool before they can actually begin fixing anything. This chart maps out a typical project timeline. Watch what happens between identifying a problem and executing a solution. As multiple new preparation phases are inserted, the actual execution date gets pushed further and further into the future. We call it preparation, but the uncomfortable reality is that complex planning often acts as a socially acceptable way to delay taking difficult action. To understand why these massive initiatives fail, it helps to look at a modern organization as a physical body at rest. Every day, the staff expends a massive amount of energy just completing routine tasks, leaving the organization heavy and difficult to move. In physics, this is static friction. To force a resting object into motion requires tremendous, concentrated directional force. But overhauling a company's structure demands more force than an exhausted team can generate. And when tackling multiple goals at once, that limited energy scatters. Trying to improve everything at once mechanically guarantees that you won't improve anything at all. The most effective way to bypass an organization's energy deficit isn't to push harder, it is to drastically shrink the size of the target. Instead of a global operations redesign, focus on the single grant report that eats up 4 hours every Thursday, or smooth out the clumsy email handoff for new volunteers. We can call this a microfix. By shrinking the mass, a single burst of energy easily pushes the target across the finish line. Completing one tiny task from start to finish generates far more value than endlessly planning a perfect, massive overhaul. That small victory does not solve the company's biggest structural issues, but it does something far more important. It proves to the staff that getting something fully over the finish line is actually possible. That very first improvement will feel agonizingly slow. Every ounce of effort will seem wasted, and you won't see immediate results. That exhaustion happens because 100% of your energy is being consumed just to break the static inertia of the status quo. But once that heavy object starts rolling, the physics change. You enter a state of kinetic friction. The organization is already in motion, and keeping it moving requires only a fraction of that initial heavy lifting. The true purpose of fixing that first messy spreadsheet is to alter the physical state of the entire organization. You are shifting it from resting to moving. Internal teams rarely lack the talent or the motivation to fix their own processes. What they lack is the permission to stop doing today's urgent work so they can focus on making tomorrow's work better. This is where an outside perspective serves a specific mechanical function. An external consultant isn't trapped in the daily whirlwind. They can observe a tangled process from above, trace it linearly, and map the exit route without getting lost in the weeds. They act as a catalyst simply by having the dedicated, uninterrupted time to follow a single process from start to finish. When that one persistent daily annoyance finally disappears, the conversation in the office begins to change. It is the first tangible proof that the status quo isn't permanent, and that realization is the first spark of true workplace momentum. So do not try to overhaul your entire organizational culture on Monday morning. Find one problem that people encounter every single day, solve it completely, and then repeat the process.